Okay. Live, hopefully.
Okay.
See. Live from the interweb. Internet is working. And here we are, Punk Rock Raduno, Stardumb Records, Push My Buttons, Dirtnap Records, live, spending the evening with you and keeping you company. So, while people is connecting, a big shout out for all the people that supported Punk Rock Raduno and our project of I Wanna Be Well compilation, raising funds and money for the Bergamo hospitals. The compilation went really, really well, and we are really thankful for that. Soon we are gonna send out the first bunch of money, and you can still download it. Just go to Bandcamp, just go to Spotify, Apple Store, Apple Music, and find I Wanna Be Well compilation. And everything we raise is gonna be going to the supporting Bergamo hospitals. Of course, you know that Bergamo, my city, Punk Rock Raduno city, Edone city, is the most affected one in Europe by COVID-19. And also, we are doing these talks and we are doing this interview series to keep you company and to try to make a little bit relief of the Punk Rock Raduno spirit in these tough days. A big shout out to my friend Rizzo Matico and Black the Reaper from the Dwarfs for the beautiful interview of last Saturday. I really enjoyed that. I drink a beer, and I think that was one of the best Dwarfs interview I've seen in ages, and I really enjoyed it. I got drunk, actually, and I hope you can do the same tonight, even if we are not talking about the fucking Dwarfs, but we are talking about something as much fun, as important as the Dwarfs, which is record labels and records in general. And guys, I'm really happy because we got here the best of the people, not only the people of the record labels in Europe and the United States. So let me introduce you first, directly live from Milwaukee, Mr. Ken Chipicode from Dirtnap Records. I hope you pronounce it well, probably not. Dirtnap Records started in Seattle, 99, then moved to Oregon, Portland, also bought Green Noise Record Store. And if you're not familiar with Dirtnap Records, you're probably familiar with one of his many bands like Marketman, Radioactivity, Exploding Heart, The Briefs, Epoxies, and also newer bands like Steve Adamic Band, which we had the luck to have at Punk Rock Raduno, Marta, and so many more. It's basically one of the most influential punk rock labels in the last 20 years, I can say. Hello.
Thanks. Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. I'm really happy to have you. Then from Stockholm, Sweden, we have the King of Sweden, one of my best friends, one of the most important people in the independent music and garage music in Europe, in my opinion. If you played Stockholm, probably you met him. If you saw a show in Stockholm, probably it was one of the shows booked by Thomas. He's called Thomas Savage. His real name is Thomas Hildebrand, and before he was Savage Records, now he's Push My Buttons, and it's also a record store. I guess he started, the first release was in 2010 from Push My Buttons Records, and he released records by Ras, Every Fiat Open Source, Impo and the Tens, and the world famous now Viagra Bones. Am I correct, Thomas?
Yeah.
Perfect.
What can I say?
And then, probably you already know him if you are following Punk Rock Raduno. Surely you know him from Rotterdam, Punk Rock City, Netherlands. The artist, the brain, probably one of the most known record labels in Europe. Stefan Thies out of Rotterdam started Stardumb Records in the 2000s. And if you're not familiar with the Stardumb brand, you're probably familiar with the Apers, the Menus, the Metadons, Peewees, Groovy Ghoulies, and many, many more. What's up, Stefan?
Doing good. You?
I'm doing good. Thank you for being here, guys. So the idea of tonight is concentrating on the record label industry, and people that follow us through the various pages can comment, can send us questions, can tell us if everything works fine and they can hear us. Actually, if they can hear us, just comment, and we are glad about that. Also, we have special effects about what is this about, which is keeping you company, but also supporting the Bergamo hospitals through this. Support Bergamo Hospital with the I Wanna Be Well compilation. Go to www.pancokraduno.com. Special effects.
You're a pro, Franz.
Yeah. So, before that, guys, they comment, just turn down a little bit your volume on the exit. So, because I can, there are some problems with the volume, I guess. So just turn down your volume on the computers, if you can. So, we are here to talk, because of course, I'm sure in your countries, and I'm glad that we are representing different countries, which is, Wisconsin, America, Sweden, and Netherlands. And of course, COVID affected this country in a different way. So, first of all, I would like to know an update from the current state of things in your own country and how the virus affected your life, starting from Ken.
Well, as many know, the U.S. has been affected pretty hard. I think we're, now one of the world capitals for COVID, unfortunately. Here in Milwaukee, I've heard we have something like the 6th highest infection rate in the U.S. now. So it's definitely, kind of a big deal around here. I don't actually know anyone in Milwaukee who's gotten sick, although plenty of people are. My brother, though, lives in New York City, in Queens, like kind of right at the epicenter of all of this in the United States. And basically everyone I know who's gotten sick are all people who live in New York. So, I kind of feel a little bit removed here in Milwaukee. But it's definitely a huge issue, and it's changing everyone's lives, by the day, really.
Are you in lockdown now? Are you in quarantine?
Mm-hmm. I am. For my job, though, I get to go to work, which is good. I think if I was fully under lockdown, here in my apartment, I'd probably be going even more crazy than I already am. So I'm just happy that I have a place to get up and go every day. Well, not today because I'm here talking to you, but yeah.
I see. Thomas?
Yeah.
What's the situation? We know that Sweden reacted to COVID in a totally different way than the rest of Europe.
Yeah, I'm really happy and grateful about that. I don't know what I would have done otherwise for income or hobbies. But everything's been staying open. There's no shows, but I mean, my store is open. I could still work if I had any, but all shows and stuff have been on theater, and stuff that I work do PR for has been on lockdown. So I don't do much. I've been working extra in my friend's toy store.
Okay. So basically, no shows, but still people is able to go out and go to bars and go and work, right?
You have like two meters in between tables and stuff like that. Your bars are allowed to open. Stores are not really like under any control, except for really big, masses of people coming into the store at once. But they haven't really said anything about that.
I see.
So far, my store has been doing a lot better than it usually does during this time. That's kind of weird.
Oh, that's interesting, and we're gonna go back on that. Stefan, what is the situation in Netherlands?
Yeah, we're having a lockdown as well, but not as strict as Italy and Spain, for example, have. So it's and it's slowly loosening up now. But the schools are closed, so my kids are at home. The restaurants are closed, and all the clubs. And my girlfriend, she works in a restaurant, so she's been home and taking care of the kids. And I've got my own private workspace, so I've been allowed to go there, because we were allowed to go outside just on a bike or whatever, and like the
we lost.
We're allowed to go out, okay. So I just use that to jump on my bike and go to my office every day. And as you know, Frans, I'm a children's book illustrator, and this part of the year is the busiest period for me always. So I hardly experienced it as much as a lot of other people, because I just every morning I went to my office and worked to make my deadline. So it's kind of weird that I mean, I was, I'm reading the news and everything, which is stressful. Are you guys still here? Everything seems frozen.
Yeah, I can still hear you, but we don't see the video anymore, the camera anymore. Oh, we lost Stefan. Oh,
that was quick.
Oh my God! Well, he's gonna be back soon. So we are live. This is the live thing, like I would say. This is the good of the dark thing, right? So the next question was how. Well, first of all, do you live out of the record label? Oh, Stefan is back. Wait, Stefan,
hey.
I got you back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but so I don't know when I left. I was just talking, and at some point realized that you were all frozen on my screen. So I don't know what you heard.
No, we heard you. It was frozen, but we heard you.
Okay. So yeah. Anyway, it's slowly going back to normal here, and yeah, we all have to see, with the economy and everything, like which clubs will survive. It's crazy. Like for everybody who depends on like an income, based on like a crowd getting together, So yeah, the Netherlands is quite a rich country, so the government is promising to help out, but I hear from a lot of people that it's at this point still not at that point where it should be. Like even if they will help out for a bit, it's still the question if you as a club or a bar will be able to manage.
I see. Yeah. I think the situation is very similar here in Italy. So, first question: any one of you live out of the record label? Like, is the record label business part of your daily income, or is like a hobby, like a fun thing you want to do? Maybe you get a little bit of money out of that, or is actually you count on the record label to pay your bills?
It's some of both. I did the record label as a full-time job for about 15 years, but I went back to work a couple of years ago. But I still do make some money off the record label, but it's not really my primary source of income anymore.
Okay, I see.
Well, for me, it's just costing money, except for Viagra Boys, maybe. But right now, it's my only income, so I'm happy. It's to have it now that I have the records to sell and that somebody's buying them.
Yeah, because your job is you have a company of advertisement through posters, right?
Yeah, for theater and live shows mostly.
So even, let's explain this, like even if there is, everything is open in Sweden, the live shows and theaters are not allowed to have shows. So of course you are affected as well because there are no posters to put up.
Yeah, I get some regularly like stuff like that. That's stuff, that's released online maybe, but it's been really few and far between.
I see. And what about you, Stefan?
Yeah, I'm not making any money with the label. The label keeps itself alive, so I'm already happy with that, But yeah, anything that's going different this year is a bummer for me, just because there's money invested and things planned, you know, but it's not as big as a deal as for people who actually need to pay rent from the music that they either make or sell, you know. So yeah, in a way, it's the first time you could say I'm lucky that the label never got big enough to get to a point that I could make a living of it.
Okay. And what about how your labels were doing before the COVID situation, and how is it doing now? Like, no, let's focus on how the label was doing just before this emergency. Like, you were doing good, you were not doing so good, like you were preparing for new releases. I was doing it before, just before, in February.
Well, I do think it's gotten harder in the last few years. We're definitely, sales and stuff are definitely not what they used to be across the board. Although, Dirtnap is, I guess, kind of lucky in that we have, a real solid back catalog of, kind of bands who sell, a certain amount every month and every year, which has definitely been keeping the label afloat for some time. So yeah, I mean, I would say that, I was kind of slowing down even before all this happened. I kind of sort of intentionally was going to take most of 2020 off anyways to focus on the Dirtnap 20-year anniversary show as opposed to putting stuff out. So, it's definitely gone from slowing down to, stopping altogether.
So wait, so both Stardumb Records from Stefan and Ken were celebrating this year with a festival.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Now I see. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Because you can have a big festival booked in June or July. June, I guess, was it, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was supposed to be the second week in June.
June, yeah, in Milwaukee, and of course it got postponed. It got moved, right? Like it got moved.
Yeah. We're still waiting to confirm for sure, but with a couple, we're waiting to hear from a couple of bands, but we're looking at the second week of October, and even now I'm kind of wondering if that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think we might wind up. I think we might wind up just doing a 21-year anniversary next June. Who knows?
Yeah, same for me, I guess. It's
we are all in the same situation.
Sorry?
It seems like we are all in the same situation, postponing things, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what about you, Stefan? Because, sorry, not Stefan, Thomas. Like your label is pretty new, but also your store is pretty new. So, I was doing it. I was the label doing just before the COVID thing?
I mean, since I haven't really focused on it, so I mean, I've been selling copies of everything, but maybe not getting it out there via distributors or trading with other labels, selling it to stores. But now I have the time to do that, so it's doing a lot better. So I'm actually getting rid of some stuff that would have just been lying around in my closet for years to come otherwise. But the store was doing good before, and it's still doing good. I mean, I've had some incredible. The store is only open on Saturdays, which might add. I've had some incredible sales, like in March, that I don't think I would have without the COVID. So I guess people have been coming out and really making an effort to come to my store and buy stuff.
That is incredible to think, like because here, of course, because of the lockdown, but also because of paranoia. Like, of course, people was really afraid to go. Because if I'm not wrong, your store, which is in downtown Stockholm, it used to be open just on Saturdays, right?
Yeah, it's still only Saturdays.
So it's a store that only opens Saturday, and you sell records and memorabilia and clothes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, vintage stuff.
Yeah, and so since March, you think like people start to show up and to come and to support you because of the emergency?
Yeah, I think so. That's what that's my guess at least.
Yeah, because you got a big increase. That's really interesting.
And there's people coming out and really making an effort to get there on that Saturday, and really looking for something to buy.
Cool.
That's
cool.
It's been really fun to see all these new guys and also old faces showing up, once in a while and stuff. So that's really nice.
What about you, Stefan?
Yeah, about how the label was doing before the COVID. As you know, I was really active with the label in the first 5 years of its existence. Then I wasn't able to make things work financially, so I had to change some stuff in my life. And then for pretty much like 10 years, the label was less active. I released 1, 2, sometimes 3 releases a year, but that was it. And over the last 5 years, I've been more active again. So for me, because I got more active again, I saw like a rise of interest over the last few years. But if I compare it to the first 5 years, it's way smaller now. It's probably what Ken is also experiencing, it's a different period. But for me still, from going from like 2 releases a year to like 10 releases a year, like last year, or maybe 12, I don't know exactly. Because of that, also because the label has quite a strong focus, it affects each other, So so I was feeling that more and more people were paying attention on the label, and stuff was selling quite well. And now I think I might sell slightly more through the web shop and Discogs, but in general, it's not a good situation. Distributors are putting everything on hold. Many record stores around Europe and US are closed. So like some distributors take on new titles, but they already tell me, we hardly get any orders in right now. Like my distributor in the US doesn't even take on new titles at this point. They're just holding off until things look up a bit again. So yeah, that affects sales a lot. But and I think we'll have to see how that goes. But I think a lot of people are maybe paranoia is a bit gone, but like what was happening in the first month, maybe when it really hit Europe. But still, a lot of people don't know what their near future will look like. So so I can imagine that some people are holding off on buying stuff like records. But yeah, it's still moving. It's funny that there's some people are at home like, finally I got time. You have to buy those. Get an order from someone who buys like 12 records at a time, and some other people are holding off, and maybe that evens each other out. But the part that's out of my hands, which going through distributors and record stores and stuff, that's definitely not going so smooth right now. So I'm really hoping that's taking up soon.
Cool. So people start commenting in the meantime, and we have my brother Brown, who just had a baby, if you didn't know.
Congrats.
Yes,
also,
Bruno.
Here he is. Then we have Marne from Sweden here. Hello.
Hey,
and
man.
Also we have a common friend, Kepi Guli.
What's up,
Thank
Kepi?
you.
Okay.
Thank you for keeping rock and roll alive, you guys.
Yeah, you too, Kepi. You're doing your part as well.
Yeah, he's doing
Buckle
it.
sharp.
So to keep rock and roll alive, let's talk about it. Because from one side, from your words, you have more time sometimes to focus on the label, So you have the time to do the things like contact distributors, finding new ways, promoting records, and because you have more time in your hands. From the other side, as Stefan mentioned, all the structure of music is falling apart, or is just stopped, like distributors of records. So and that, I guess, affects a lot the fact maybe you're not your e-commerce website, but at the same time maybe the new releases. So my question is, did you had any new release planned? Because of course the new release, they need the publicity, they need the distributors, operating properly, and you need shows, you need release parties and stuff. So any of you had any new release that now are in a hold because of this situation?
Thankfully, no. It was kind of a lucky coincidence for me in that when all this stuff started to hit, for the first time in 20 years of doing a label, I actually didn't have any releases in the works. So in the short term, no. But I did have some bands working on, or I do have some bands, working on new recordings and stuff. And right now, as far as I'm concerned, sort of everything is all kind of up in the air until I can kind of see where this is going. Because I think an important point that you mentioned, Franz, is that most of the distributors are shut down right now, including the one that is our exclusive distributor. So basically all my records are currently locked in a warehouse, and 2,000 miles from where I live. And if I had any new releases, which, like I said, luckily at this point I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't really have anywhere to send them anyways, since I don't do my own distribution.
I see. So and Thomas,
these guys are really on a different, a different level than I am, because I usually sell my records through my store and direct to customers. I haven't had any distribution in Europe, only through my friends' labels or mail orders. It's a bit of a different situation for me, where I can actually take the time and maybe reach out to some distributors and have time to do that. So but as far as I had a couple of releases coming out in March, which was really bad timing. Benny was supposed to tour to support his 7-inch, and the Swedish band that I released the debut 7-inch, where they had a release party booked, but we still haven't done anything. So that kind of sucks. And it's a new band. It's their first release. They really wanted to do something, but we'll see. I hope we can figure something out. We've been talking about, actually, my brother just self-released his new LP, and we had a release party in the store where him and his girlfriend Jenny, who also plays in the band, they played for 5 people at a time in the store. So they
cool.
It was kind of fun. It was a good way to do it.
Of course, and they also had their tour of Italy canceled.
Yeah, they canceled, and the tour in Germany now in May is canceled, I guess.
Yeah. Oh God. Stefan, you already told us about the distributor. So did you had any new release planned?
Yeah, there's all kinds of things going on, actually. Like Mikey Erg was supposed to tour in Europe right now, so we planned a tour EP, and the tour got canceled, but we already had the 7 inches pressed, so we're like, let's release it anyway, because the tour might get postponed for a year. We don't know right now what we're looking at, but the copies are on their way to the US, but with hardly any flights, and I think the US Postal Service really being over the head into it. They're somewhere stuck. We cannot even see with tracking, but probably between customs and US Postal Service picking them up.
Shit.
But so that's one that's out, but not available in the US yet, and
I see.
So that's happening. Another release. I'm co-releasing it with another label. We're discussing. It's so difficult to see what's the right thing to do now, because nothing like this ever happened, Then some people were supposed to record around this period, but they're not allowed to go into the studio, so that's getting postponed. So there's some stuff that's moving towards maybe the end of the year, maybe next year even, which was supposed to happen soon. But yeah, I don't know. There's also cool stuff happening. Like I don't know if you heard this that Jeff Palmer and Lucy of Lucy and the Reds they did a John Prine cover together.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
That actually happened because of the situation. They're both at home, bored, and Jeff is actually one of the people that was supposed to be in the studio to record his new album, but he cannot go into the studio. But yeah, he can do something at home, so he figured, yeah, let's record some tunes. And then Lucy in London was in the same situation, sitting at home, so we made the most of it and recorded a wonderful cover song. So I don't know. It's weird, right? It's like there's stuff happening that's so big we cannot control, but I see a lot of people doing really cool stuff because of it, and yeah, it makes me happy too to see that happening.
Definitely,
people react in different ways, and actually we do have Jeff Palmer with us, which says hi and thanks, Stefan. No, wait, thanks, Stefan. Here. So we also have other comments like...
If I knew he was listening, I wouldn't have said this, but...
Hey, Stefan, let's go eating castles with KP.
Yeah, that's nice. We did that, I don't know, I think 2011 in when KP and I did the art run.
Yes.
That's nice, a long time ago.
Yes. And we also have the answer of KP, which is always ready for the delicious castle food in Salso Maggiore. So we have to go back there, of course.
Nice.
We also have a comment for you, Thomas, which is, Thomas, kudos for being clever with the release shows.
Had to do something.
Yeah. And also,
this month, actually.
So 5 people at once. So how many times you played?
We didn't set it at 5, but it just worked out that way. So I mean, yeah, there was a crowd coming in. They played a couple of songs. The crowd left. Some new guys came in, and then they played again.
But I always wonder in those occasions, like those 5 people that show up in the store and see those 2 bands, they feel forced to buy the new record or something like that. They all buy.
I don't think they did. Not everybody bought it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. You know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. You know, everybody knows how it is, how weird it is to see a band when there's only like 5 people in the crowd, where there's more people on stage than there is on the floor, and that happens to every band, I guess, sometimes. But it's always, those shows are always memorable and they're always fun because you get so close. You know, you just talk from the stage to the floor. So that's
really true. It is true. I think there are more shows, empty shows that I saw than actually packed shows.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is true that I saw a lot of acoustic runs, like Stefan was mentioning, like the art show, the art tour that we did with KP and Dr. Frank too. And when you play in living rooms or like small places, I think in a commercial way, like people tend to support you more because they feel more connected and they feel like the situation is more special, in my opinion. Like that's my experience as a tour manager.
Yeah.
But, and then again, KP give an interesting point. Like Burger Records went live and played their new comp on Instagram. It was funny and fun. I actually followed that too. I think it was a smart way to do it, which brings me to the next question. What are you gonna do if the situation don't improve? Like, we all hope that this is gonna not last long and we can go back, not to normality, because there is not such thing as normality, but you know, to a situation where we can operate in the normal way. But if the things go on like this, are you gonna be forced to change something, and you already thought about a plan, or you have no plan B?
No plan B at all. I have no idea. You know, I'm kind of just, you know, taking this day by day at this point, you know, because there's really just no way to know, you know, where all this is going to lead. So I should probably start making a plan B, but I haven't thus far.
Yeah, it's the same here. No plan B at all. I'm just hoping things can go back a little bit to normal, and they seem to be doing that for the summer, maybe. You know, since I lose money on almost every record I release, I'd say I'd have to be careful about putting new stuff out. But
Yeah.
I'm keeping my hopes up for now.
Yeah, I don't need a plan B because it's, like the way I've been running the label is a labor of love anyway. So yeah, if this changes the way of doing it a bit, I still feel the need to put out those records that I love. So I'll find a way, and if I can only do like 80% of them because I'd sell less, so I have less money to spend, then I will still release those that 80%.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we keep having comments. Thank you so much for commenting. Of course, we are here live streaming with Ken, Thomas, Stefan on the Punk Rock Raduno page. We remind you to support, if you can, please consider supporting Bergamo Hospitals with the Wanna Be Well compilation at punkrockraduno.com, or support your local hospitals, because this is the moment to do so. But also we are here to focus on the record labels and also record stores, because two of our guests today, they have, or they used to have, record stores, and they are an important part of our music community, and we should support them. So we want to give the focus to these record labels, because of course a lot of people get focused on they see the band, but they don't understand how much important is to have a record label of someone that believe in this band. And of course, Ken, you can be like a good proof of that. Like, so many of the bands you released, they were not as popular at all when you first released them. Like, you really have a catalog that is really impressive in that. And I was wondering, why now? What is situation of sales? Because what is selling right now? Well, like, you guys in general sell more older stuff of your catalog or classic things? Also in your shop, Thomas, like, do you see that people buy more the classic things? Let's say, for example, Ken, the Marketman albums, the beautiful ones that you basically released all of them. Or Thomas, in your store, you sell like the Goner classics, or the Viagra Boys records only more. Or Stefan, you sell more like the classic Stardumb Records, the Manges or the Pee-wees, or what you still have in catalog or press, and you can still have, or the Apers, if you have any, or you sell more the new stuff.
Definitely the old stuff, definitely the classic stuff. I do think that, kind of one change with the record label in the last 5 years is I've kind of noticed that it's getting a lot harder to sell new bands. It seems like in the past, that's one thing Dirtnap has been really good at, is kind of finding new bands and sort of, hopefully putting them in front of like a slightly larger audience than they normally would have gotten. But it just seems like that's getting, considerably more difficult the last few years. And luckily, like I said, we, do have a pretty solid back catalog with, Exploding Hearts and Marked Men and, Radioactivity, and, a couple of the newer bands that we worked with in the last few years actually have done pretty good, especially Martha. But yeah, it is getting more difficult, and people are definitely buying the classic stuff.
I see. Well, at the meantime, I have this comment from Andrea: 100% no plan B. Which is funny. And one question, Ken. So it was the same when you first released those records? Like, for example, when you released the Briefs, or when you released the Marketman, when they just got released, like the second Marketman record, I guess, was the first one on Dirtnap originally. Was it hard back then too, and then they got traction and they start selling a lot, or it was totally different back then?
Well, it's a little bit different from band to band. I think in the case of the Briefs, that one was kind of a big hit right away. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that, the band, basically the minute that record came out, they, started touring and didn't stop for, several years. I think it was a little bit different with the Marked Men. The record did well at first, but I think it was more, with that band, it was kind of more of a case of them, kind of gaining traction over time. It seems like with every record that they put out, did better than the last one. And then, when they put out that fourth record, they pretty much stopped immediately after that when Jeff Burke moved to Japan for the second time. And it kind of seems like they were kind of one of those bands where it seems like as soon as they sort of like, stopped being as much of a full-time band, all of a sudden they got a lot more popular.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of funny how that works sometimes.
Like Turbo Negro.
Yeah.
The Turbo Negro effect.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Thomas,
Yeah.
what are you selling at the store?
I'm selling a good mix of new stuff that's brand new and maybe a little bit cutting edge, like pushing the envelope a little bit. Bands that are exciting that I managed to kind of hand sell, maybe just listen to this and they get sold on it. And then I'm selling a lot of classics too. Markman, I can never have enough of those and stuff. Really, I found a bag actually hidden under my clothes that Jeff left there with like 10 or 20 Radioactivity records inside. That's good. But for my own stuff, my own releases, I've been really happy that some of them are taking off a little bit. Like the Dope LP is almost sold out, and I'm on a different scale, I think, than Stefan, because I only do like 300 copies now. But I'm super happy if I sell 300 copies in a couple of months. That's amazing for me. Usually I have records left in my closet that I put out 20 years ago on Savage. That I'm gonna have those forever.
I think we all have those.
Yeah. But I'm super happy that new bands, people are interested to hear them, and that they're still coming. There's good stuff coming that I get to release. I'm happy about that too. So I'm thankful to all the bands that want to put out records on my label. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but maybe I also did more work this time, sending records out for reviews and getting in touch with online stuff.
I see.
Online where you can listen to the songs before they're out, stuff like that.
So I guess we have a question from Germany, from Gambo, from Nürnberg. Greetings from Germany? ?
He's not sure if it's from Germany, huh?
Well, I guess yes.
Probably.
Probably. Hello from Southern California.
Hey there.
Whoever from Sweden. Athena. Hello, guys. Just feel free, of course, if you have questions for Ken, Thomas, or Stefan, for all of them, of course, feel free to ask them. Stefan, do you sell more older? Well, I know your catalog, like you run out, you basically sold basically everything you have left of your back catalog, I guess. But you still sold, like you have a couple of re-releases, like the Pee-wee's Dead and CD, which is a classic. So you sell more.
For example, I'm surprised, not surprised because I know it's an amazing record, but how good it keeps on selling. That that's just a record that people keep on discovering, and that's great. And when I do a Groovy Ghoulies reissue, which are like the old Lookout records that Eccentric Pop in the US and Stardumb in Europe are reissuing, they always sell well. But I sell a lot of new stuff just as well, actually. Like Lucy and the Reds sells well. Lone Wolf sells well. you know, and Lone Wolf is a band that works really hard and it goes to Canada, US, you know, all the festivals that they can get on, they'll make it there. So so that helps, of course. But yeah, I'm just happy to see that like a really new band, even if people in Lone Wolf have their history in different bands, that that is actually possible to sell those records, and we need to repress them and stuff, you know. So yeah.
Cool.
But then again, there's all it all depends, you know. There's some stuff that I release. I don't mind, you know, how much I'll sell. I just want to release something because I think it's good. And some stuff I know if I press 300, I hope I'll move them. And with others, you can press 1,000 or more, and you know for sure they'll do well. But for me, I love those releases equally, you know. And and yeah, and I see that some new bands that if in a different time they probably would have done better, you know, and things would have been easier. But I don't know. It's what it is, and yeah, it's I don't know. It's not luck, but still, there's so many variants that that have an effect on the success of a band or a release, you know. And sometimes it's timing, whatever. And you know, I always feel that if enough people will buy the records to stop, to keep on releasing stuff, then that's enough to keep me excited, you know. But yeah, of course, you hope when you fall in love with a record that everybody will discover it. But yeah, in a couple of cases, you're like, oh fuck, how can the rest of the world not hear how good this is? But just to get them to listen to it, it's hard, you know. You can do sponsored messages on Facebook, send out as many promos as you want, and even get raving reviews, and still, yeah, some stuff seems that nobody listens to. And yeah, it's not always clear to me, you know, what's the problem, but I think it's always has been like that, you know. There's I don't know, isn't it Dramarama like that? Rodney on the Rocks really plugged, and still that band never took off, you know, in a way better period for a power pop band like that. But for some reason they never got big, even if they had a big radio show that kept on playing them in California. So yeah,
I see.
It happened
Do you
back then
guys
as well.
do you guys figure it out, the trick? Like Ken, you released many successful bands, or Thomas, you did Viagra Boys. Do you know when a band is gonna sell, or it's always up in the air?
No, not at all. I mean, it's kind of like what Stefan was just saying. There's just really no way to know. I mean, there have been bands who I, you know, put out and I thought for sure that we're gonna, you know, take the world by storm or whatever, and you know, I wound up not being able to give the records away. Whereas also some of our best sellers have been ones that I wasn't expecting as much.
Okay.
It's absolutely impossible. I mean, it's just kind of a roll of the dice every time. I mean, obviously, I love all the records I put out, but only some of them it seems like people agree with me on, and I'm never sure which it's going to be. You know.
I see.
It's the same here.
Yeah.
Second, actually, when I did the second Viagra Boys record, then I kind of knew that would sell, but they were on such a roll and just getting more and more famous at the time.
I see.
So that was an easy guess.
I see. So we have a bunch of questions here. Let's go through them, if you don't mind. So the first one: when can we pre-order the "I Wanna Be Welcome"? Well, actually, it's not gonna come out physically. There is not gonna be a CD or LP, but you can already go to punkrockraduno.com and you can buy it or stream it online through Apple Music, through Bandcamp, to Spotify. So it's available right now, and every money that you give for the compilation is going to be donated to the Bergamo Hospital. So the compilation is already out. No plans for a physical release, because the idea was like putting it out to support the Bergamo Hospital. So yeah, thank you so much. The next question is, Marne says, what will be the first thing you will do when this quarantine will end?
Well, I'm looking forward to getting a haircut, for one thing. I'm really missing going to the gym and going to yoga classes and going to record stores. And, I should go without saying, going out to punk gigs, maybe going out and supporting my local bar a bit. So many things I can't even. I'm looking forward to going back to the library. I can't even think of them all.
I really want to see a punk show. The next day. Otherwise, I'm pretty good. I can still go to record stores and comic book stores or whatever. So I'm okay with that.
I see. Yeah, that's the only thing missing right now in Sweden. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's the shows.
Yeah. Stefan?
Yeah, I'm missing seeing my friends. It's like my circle got so small right now, and I'm just used to going to a few shows a month and just run into like all these people that I've known for years, and it's weird, without the shows. I could still actually meet up with someone if we keep the distance, and just walk through the park or walk by the riverside. But the thing is, when I go to a show, I might, meet up with Gary or like one of the people that I talk with, like, hey, let's go to the show. But you run into another 20 people that you know, and that's a part that I miss right now. Just the unexpected meeting up with people. So I think I'm gonna hug a lot of people when I'm going to my first show after all this.
I see. Cool. So next question, Dante Natale asks, all of you, new band from your roster to suggest?
Definitely, I would suggest our last release, which came out in February, which is the Dirtnap debut for Personality Cult from North Carolina. They have a previous record on Drunken Sailor. And Jeff Burke sent me that record when he was in the process of recording it in New York. And I just absolutely flipped out and called the band immediately. And I'm really, really, really proud of that record. And it's the newest band on Dirtnap and the newest Dirtnap release. So I would definitely suggest you check that out on Bandcamp or Spotify or whatever.
It's perfect.
Thomas?
Yeah, I'd say get on the Isotope Soap LP because it's gonna sell out soon. So get that. That's really exciting. I think it's really, really cool. It's a good record, and it's a really exciting band. I hope to release some more stuff with them in the future.
Nice. Isotope Soap for Thomas and Stefan.
That sounds.
What about you, Stefan? Oh, did he freeze?
I think so, right? But
no, you're there. You're there.
Yeah, cool.
You're there.
Yeah, I mentioned quite a bunch of bands already, right? But Local Drags is a band that I released an album and a 7-inch EP of last year that not that many people know, and that's to me a great band that more people should check out. Not just because I released it. I just love that guy's songwriting. It's a perfect blend of replacements meets 90s power pop with a bit of a pop punk feel. And I like every song that guy wrote so far, both for his own band Local Drags, and he has a band called Starter Jackets together with Luke of the Copyrights. And I cannot mention those two bands enough because they're both incredible, and two of the lesser known bands that I work with.
Cool. Perfect.
I'll check that out as soon as we're done with this.
Yeah, cool. I hope you like it.
Yeah.
And Franz Marcella, well, for my label, the compilation we did to support again the hospitals, which is called the Benefit of Things to Come. That's the most important release that we had. And there is a Radio Birdman outtake. There is new released songs for all the bands from the Roosters, so you should check that out. But mostly we have to support these guys here again, live from Punk Rock Raduno, Ken, Thomas, and Stefan, the best of the best. Let's talk about record. Stefan,
yeah,
I need your help here. I don't know what this means.
This guy used to be the singer of the Tabascos. Do you remember that band?
What's the band again?
Tabascos.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was a popping band from the Netherlands around the time that I started the label. So they were around at the same time when the Apes started. And he says, "Funny to see me." You realize how long he hasn't seen me. He probably remembers me without a beard and with hair over here that went down,
So it's not a question. Okay.
I cannot remember when I saw him for the last time, but it's been a while indeed.
So, well, this is you see, in bad times we still have the opportunity to catch up, the four of us, and also you with your friend. So typically Lone Wolf, Lucy, Geoff Palmer are all artists that never stop working. This is true. We are lucky to have that attitude and ethic. Yeah, this is the attitude. And this is another question I have for you guys. Of course, we don't have plan B, but at the same time, it's funny because a couple of days ago, for another thing I'm running here locally, I interviewed a couple record labels out of Italy. And I must say, their answers to the same question I'm giving you, they were absolutely different than what you're telling me now. One of the things that I asked them was also this. There was a big controversy running in Italy when the whole pandemic thing exploded, which was the music should stop. There were many artists or many people that start saying something like, well, now it's time for the music to do a step back, for the artists to stop playing live streaming, for the record labels to stop putting out music. I know this is crazy, but this all started from an article published by Rolling Stone quoting Nick Cave saying something like that as well. Okay, so it is true what Kepi says. It's nice to see. I don't know about you, but for me, when this whole thing started, the label was really important because I said like, okay, I can focus on the label. I have this. So this keeps me busy, and at least I can put myself and try to fix the things I didn't have the time to do it before because of various things. So you ever consider like something like, okay, maybe I should put a record label on the hold because of this crisis?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely not stopping the record label by any means. It's certainly going to continue, but I am sort of putting things on the back burner a little bit just because I want to see how long this lasts and how it plays out, like with our distributor and stuff being locked down and inaccessible. So yeah, I mean, I'm not canceling any releases or anything, but I am sort of like I'm going to be very careful about taking on new stuff and probably pushing a couple of things back that I might have put out this year, maybe push it back out a little bit further just to give myself, some more lead time while I figure out whatever my plan B is.
I'm really not gonna let this hinder anything, but if things slow down, it's because record pressing plants are closed or bands can't record, stuff like that. But I wasn't sure when I opened the store that first Saturday after this whole thing happened. I wasn't sure if anybody would come, you know.
Yeah.
And turned out like I had twice the amount of people that I usually have.
Cool.
I was really happy I got there that day. I was gonna be like, maybe I should just post on Facebook that I'm close today because who's out, you know. But it's been the same feeling here that there's some people are so scared of this thing that they really they won't let anything happen. Like you can't, everything should close.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't have to.
Yeah, but Frans, the people you spoke with, did they mean that out of respect for the people that are sick or dying, that the music should stop? Yeah,
Yes.
I totally disagree with that. I mean, for me, any form of entertainment is also distraction. And you can choose to not tune in, but in the worst periods in my life, music helped me, you know? So I've been lucky in this period that this whole Corona crisis didn't affect me or my close ones that much yet. So yeah, I'm thankful for that. But even if I was really down, I could see that the music could help me, you know, like to hear the songs that you love. Like every week I've been seeing Paul Collins going online from New York, and those online shows. It's not close to going to a real show, but it also helps to see other people around the world. We're in this together, you know. We'll make it through, you know. So yeah, I mean, if you feel that you cannot use any music in your life at this point, don't put on music. Don't look at it. But for people who actually get power from it or distraction from all the madness, I'm happy people are actually out there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I was honestly shocked when I heard these things. But from the other side, I must confess personally, well, of course, you know, during this crisis, a lot of people is on the internet and on Facebook, and they post a lot of things. And the worst things I see, unfortunately, at least here in Italy, is for musicians. So they got these snobbish things about, you know, they were against like record labels, they were against streaming, they were against people singing on the balconies, they were against everything. Everyone is against everything. So I guess from one side you get positive people that keep doing what they do and try to fix the situation or try to help each other. And at the same time you have like negative people that still try, you know, to sneak in and try to say like use the respect word against someone else, which is what I think is happening here, you know. Oh, you cannot do it because of the respect, you cannot do that because of respect, and basically they are not respecting anyone by, you know. Anyway,
I know if I was a doctor and I've been working 16 hours a day shifts, I could see myself go home and be happy to see a Kurt Baker show or whatever, you know? Yeah, and I would also be happy because Kurt's been doing them on stage yet, and I'd be happy to put some money towards him because I know he's struggling as well. You know, it's not only the people that are sick and the doctors and stuff that are struggling, but I'm not getting it, I guess, you know, and I want to be respectful. So I suppose they're entitled to their own opinion, but I just don't get it.
So yeah, I guess fuck Nick Cave. So let's see what Geoff Palmer is saying. Like, I've been buying more records since I'm stuck at home and online all the time, ordering stuff I've been meaning to get but didn't have the time before. So is this the case?
Jeff, I didn't see any order coming in.
Jeff, there is something wrong in your order system because I don't see Stefan getting money. I don't see Thomas. And what about you, Ken?
weekend.
So I don't know where
I've been
I don't know
looking for
where-
that order and I just haven't seen it.
I don't know where you're spending your money, but not in the right places here. Now, of course, there are plenty of record labels and situations to support in these days, and also radio shows and also bars. Actually, Geoff wrote something cool too before. It's like not only record stores, but also venues and bars. That's the other problem with the situation. Actually, I think record labels can still find a way to survive even without Plan B. But the bars, which are also the clubs, the venues where our bands are performing or should be performing, they are in high risk. So what is the situation right now in Milwaukee, Stockholm, and Rotterdam with your local venues?
Well, you know, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I definitely think that for a lot of these venues, the future is looking pretty uncertain at the moment. You know, I think it's probably not unsafe to assume that a lot, I hate to say it, but a lot of these places probably won't make it. And it really breaks my heart because we have some great bars and venues here in Milwaukee. And I personally know the owners of some of these bars, and it's, they're definitely not necessarily optimistic about the future. So I really hope, I think kind of like you said, music and records and, record labels aren't necessarily going anywhere because of all this. But, I think, things like, bars are definitely on shakier ground.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Super worried about them.
Yeah.
I work a lot like medium-sized clubs, like up to 500 to 1,000. I put up their posters, and I don't know what they're doing now. It's maybe some of them have their bars open, but I don't think they're making a lot of money. They're hoping to get government funds. I know that, but I know they're applying for it this week.
Okay, I see. Stefan, do you know anything about the venues in Rotterdam or in Netherlands in general?
Yeah, I was gonna see John Prine in Paradiso this August, and that show, of course, got canceled because he passed away. And Paradiso sends an email saying you can get your money back, but we're in such how do you say it in English? Rough waters. Can you say that? That you want to donate, please, or if you want to donate a part. I mean, that's one of the more healthier clubs in Holland. Paradiso. Even they have to do this. Like say, hey, if you want to donate part of your tickets, please. So you can imagine that the smaller clubs are in even worse situations. So I haven't heard about any place that already went bankrupt, but I'm afraid that we're not gonna see all of them back in action by the time that we actually can go to shows again.
Yeah, that's the scary part, in my opinion. And do you think this is slowing down the whole community? Because, of course, as you know, I work in the booking industry as well, and some opinions are that as we cannot operate in this way, there are many agents and many bookers that are trying to find another job right now. So so it could be that whenever we can start this, there's gonna be way less clubs and way less promoters, so the chance for way less bands to tour and do stuff. Like, for example, I had many tours planned for my venue, but also for my agency. And those tours, they could be rescheduled next year. But most of the venues that they were booked at, they probably are not going to be surviving, which is, a big problem in my opinion. And so that's big part of it. But at the same time, I think this is trying to force us to have a change. So my next question is, are you considering moving your operation a little bit through the streaming in this situation where, for example, now we are lucky that we can print vinyl and we can print CDs, but we cannot distribute them. And so do you think sometimes, okay, maybe I should operate more in the digital world because this is right now where the whole music industry is going?
I don't know. I mean, in a lot of ways, we are pretty engaged with the streaming world already. I guess I just keep saying, there's just no way to know where this is going to lead. I think it's definitely going to be, it's definitely going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, we're certainly going to lose some venues and some record stores and stuff. But, in the long term, I think some of that is, probably going to bounce back. So yeah, I just don't know. I mean, I don't really have any big plans to, fully embrace streaming, any more than I already do. But who knows? I guess we'll see.
For me, it's no. I don't think so. Smaller scale, and just if I have to press 100 records, you have to start doing that for me, friends.
Thomas, since tonight, I really want to move to Sweden.
Yeah,
I want to move there with you. You make me want to move there.
You know how tiny my apartment is. We can squeeze you in here somewhere.
I guess, if I'm not wrong, one time we slept in 8 in your apartment, with King Khan barbecue and lots more.
Yeah, whatever works,
So. Of course, here people say support it, do it yourself. Stefan, what about you? You're also really popular because you press CDs, you press vinyl, but also you are slowly also experiencing the digital world, I guess.
I'm slowly waking up. Yeah. No, I mean, I love a physical product. I've always, when I was a kid, I was making magazines, and when the internet took on, people said, "Oh, let's make a webzine." But I love analog stuff, holding something in my hands. So I will always continue put out records just because I care for the artwork, the packaging, everything, and that's get lost with streaming part. Even if it's shown in the corner of your screen. Small, there's no credits and stuff. I'm one of those fools that read those, I want to see who recorded this and stuff like that. And of course you can all find it online, but I like having something in my hands. But plus, like streaming, I see Renee asking, can you make money from streaming? It depends how much something gets streamed, but the good part about streaming, of course, is that there's no, like with a CD or an LP, you have to press a certain amount. So there's an investment. With streaming, there's not that investment. But the amount of streams necessary to make real money, we all know that's it's still peanuts.
Yeah. Well, actually, which brings me to the question of Renee, which is, can you make money from streaming?
I mean, we can, and we do. I think that, probably streaming is the biggest single source of income for the label right now. And, it is kind of a pretty insultingly low, amount of money that you get paid per stream. But, with certain bands, if you can sort of, level up to a certain, if you can kind of get it up to a certain level, then all of a sudden the money starts getting better. And, one thing I do like about streaming is that it seems like, unlike record sales or even, iTunes or Bandcamp downloads, if you can get that, if that band can get up to that certain level where you actually do start to make money from streaming, it seems to stay that way. It doesn't seem to go up, up or down much from month to month or even from like year to year. It seems to be kind of like a, somewhat, fixed amount of, revenue that particular release can potentially generate, forever. And because of that, I don't think I'm quite as, anti-streaming as some people, but like Stefan, I will always be loyal to the physical media because it's just what I like.
Yeah, I just checked real quick, and I like how much streams a band like Radioactivity gets on Spotify, but that's probably 10 times as much as my best-selling band. So I can imagine
it's 10 times more than most of our bands too. So
yeah. But I can imagine that at that point it gets more interesting as well. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, and that's not the case for most of our bands, but for the few of our bands who seem to have kind of cracked the algorithm of Spotify or whatever, it's it's not only a decent revenue source, but it is really good as far as being able to get the music out in front of people in an easy and convenient way.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stop pressing vinyl though.
One thing that really surprised me, well, not really, but I told you before that I had this interview with other record labels from Italy, even good record labels, like well-known record labels. And one thing you never mention in this talk is the sales at the live shows. Because I'm telling this because when I spoke with those record labels, they told me 90% of their sales was out of the band on the merch table. So basically, they're not really selling any copies to distributors or selling really few copies directly to the customers, retail. That's the Italian situation, of course, which is basically the situation where you can only sell vinyl or copies at the merch tables. And it's a totally different situation talking with you guys because you actually never mentioned that because you are in the situation of thinking about distributing and selling or maybe distributing digitally, but it's really divided by the sales of the band live, which of course right now is affected heavily because there are no shows. So is that impacting you a lot as well? Which means you just forgot about that to mention, or is something that is on the band side?
I think it's more on the band side, really. I'm obviously very happy when bands can go on tour and sell copies of their record, but I wouldn't say that's like a huge part of our income, like, as far as supplying bands with records. I mean, we definitely do it. And, some bands, it seems like, are always wanting copies of their record, and other bands, it's like I ship them the, initial, couple boxes of them and then I never hear from them again. So yeah, I definitely don't think that's kind of at the top of my current list of problems, thankfully.
I think it's the same thing with the release party where you could sell maybe like 25 to 50 copies or something to the band's friends that are coming out, to their parents or whatever that are coming out and they're buying the records and they'll never go to a record store to buy that. So that's kind of the sales maybe you're missing. But even for the new band that I put out, Caligula's Mama from Stockholm, I've they brought their parents to my store so they could buy the copies from me instead of getting them from the band. So I don't know. No, I'd say no. It doesn't really matter, the live shows. Maybe a little bit, maybe selling that extra 10% or something like that, but not more than that.
Yeah, I think it matters, but in my case, I think 75% of the bands don't tour regularly anyway. They do some shows here and there. But like, for example, No Move, their second album that came out last October went pretty fast. And I'm pretty sure we would have been ready for a repress right now if they would have gone to the UK, Germany, Canada, everything that they had planned in this period. So because they're one of the bands that really a lot of people that end up seeing them at those festivals like Puza Fest and stuff where they play, and we're going to play Blues Cruise in Hamburg and in Bristol. They they sell a lot of merch at shows because a lot of people that fall in love because they're so tight and also loving, you know. So that's one of the bands that definitely I'm sure that we would have been already repressing that album if other shows were still there. But yeah, in most other cases, it's bands that do like one festival here, one local show there. So then, yeah, in my case, with all those bands, it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, I agree. I love those Lone Wolf records, by the way.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Nice. So, of course, again, we are live streaming. We are approaching to the end. And if you have more questions, this is your last chance to ask these beautiful people your question. And I do have a question. Is there something that you wish you could have released on your label that you had the opportunity of and then you passed? And or something that you just dream about releasing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to mention the records that I wish I had a chance to put out. I think the main really obvious one that springs to mind is the first Mark Men album, because I was already a fan of theirs from when they were the Reds, and I remember they sent me that first record. They sent me the demos for that first record that came out on Ripoff, and I remember I liked it a lot. But at the time, I was kind of wanting to focus more on local Northwest bands, and so I wrote him back and I was like, "Hey, this is great, but I don't think I'm going to be able to put this out right now." And then I remember like 6 months or so later, that record came out on Ripoff. And I remember I bought a copy at the local record store, took it home, put it on the turntable, put the needle down, and immediately I was like, oh shit, what the fuck was I thinking? And then it's kind of funny because I really, really, really regretted not putting that record out. But then luckily, Jeff Burke, a couple of years later, he sent me some demos for On the Outside. And I remember, I think before I even listened to the CDR that he had sent in the mail, I was already like on the phone, like dialing the phone number that was written on the CD. I asked them when they were playing next, and it turned out they had a show in Dallas a couple weeks later. And I was like, okay, I'll see you there. I'm gonna come out and see what you guys are all about.
Good choice.
Yes. Some other ones I regret were the Hex Dispensers. Most recently, like I was kind of regretful that I couldn't put out that Pale Lips record because I really love that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I could go on and on. Tirades. I can't even think. I can't even think of them all.
Cool.
I don't really know. I mean, there's so many good records that I wish I'd put out, but I'm happy they're out there. Maybe my claim to fame would be the Black Keys sending me a demo for a 7-inch.
I love this story. I was gonna ask you about this story. Tell the story, please.
Okay. They sent me a CD, 2 songs, one unreleased. I think maybe one ended up on the first record or something, and they just said it was a handwritten note saying like, "Hey, we like your label and we'd like to put out the 7-inch." And I listened to it and I was like, oh, this is kind of boring. It took a while for me to get back to them. So they sent out a demo to my brother too, because we did the record label together. And he was like, no, this isn't for us. we both wrote them back and saying, hey, thank you, but no thanks this time. So,
do you regret it, considering what the Black Keys became, or you just say like, no, I don't like it?
No. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to put that out, even if I sold like 20,000 copies of it. I don't know, or maybe I don't know how many copies you could sell of that, but it wasn't
more.
Huh? Probably more.
It
kind of makes me a little bit sad, but selling 100,000 records from my kitchen, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Beautiful. Stefan?
Yeah, I had a label before Stardumb called Little People Records, that was around for like 4 years. And in that period, I got the first demo from Alkaline Trio, but I didn't like it. Their first drummer, Glenn, was in another band from Chicago. And New Friends, the old band of the Apres, toured with them in Holland, or did 4 shows together. So that's how he got to know me, and he sent that demo. And yeah, it didn't do anything for me, but yeah. So it's good that I didn't release it, but it could have helped the label, of course, if I did. And I also got an email from Adam of Exploding Hearts back in the day, and I didn't have time, and that's also quite stupid because that's a band that I love. But yeah, so sometimes you make mistakes or you jump on an opportunity. And then, of course, like you guys also said, like Thomas said, there's so many great records out there, and I'm happy that they're out there, you know. Like my favorite record of last year was by More Kicks, and they contacted me for their first 7-inch, and I didn't have time, so I actually pointed them in the direction of some labels that I thought that would have been a good match for them. And then later I'm thinking, why did I send them away, you know? And they make my favorite record of 2019. But I'm happy it's there, you know? It's a great record, and I don't need my logo on it to appreciate it. And I'm just glad that I can listen to it.
There is a question for you. Can you do anything for Apres to come back, Stefan?
Oh yeah, no, I don't think I can do much. You know, Kevin has his new band in Austria, a Sweatpants Party, and doesn't make much sense, I think, for him to put more energy in the Apres now, because it's the same creative place that he would use for the Apres. But I actually can say that they recorded a cover for my compilation to celebrate 20 years of Stardom. So it's possible to get them to do something, you know, and I'm happy that, you know, with the history that of Stardom and the Apres, it's great to have them on the 20th anniversary release. Yeah, I don't see them recording a new album soon. You never know.
You never know. And but the bird told me that next year is going to be a celebration for them as well. So maybe they're gonna do something.
Yeah. So the question shouldn't be pointed at me, but more towards you, right, Franz?
Yes. I know something. I guess something can be done. Hotlines were a great band. Can they make a reunion?
Everybody can make a reunion.
So we have KJ from the Chicks Dig It saying hello, KJ. We are here. I guess we're running 90 minutes now. I don't want to keep you. I will spend my evening talking with you guys because, you know, in the situation we are now in Bergamo, even if we are in phase 2, so slowly getting better. You know, one thing I keep saying about touring, because everyone keeps telling me, you know, don't you miss touring? Don't you miss see places and venues and shows? But the real reason I find out after many years you tour is that you have some people around the world that you feel like you could be best friends if you just live together close by. You know, I'm sure you have the same feeling. Like you have someone in another city and you think like, if that was in my city, we will always hang out and, you know, do things together and go to drink together and talk about records together. So to me, going to tour is reconnecting with these people. You know, I'm happy because I can go to the city and talk with this guy. And of course, the three of you are part of this gang of people I always glad to see when I go out and tour. So thank you so much for being here with me tonight. And that was really nice. Is there anything you want to add that you want to talk about for the label, or just a few words at the end?
I spoke enough.
No, not really. I mean, just, thanks for having me. This has been really fun, and it's good to reconnect with all you folks, friends. I always like hanging out with you in Austin, and I'm sad we couldn't do it this year, but I had a lot of fun last year. And,
I will talk to the Dirtnap anniversary next year, I promise. I was going to come this year, so it's going to come next year.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
I think I have to go next year too, because I don't want to be stuck at home anymore with this thing happening.
Yes, I'm definitely ready to travel to see some shows once all this blows over.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So this is Punk Rock Raduno live. Soon we are going to announce more news regarding the festival. Of course, we know we are all waiting to know some news. So soon there's going to be some official communication and some news regarding that. In the meantime, please consider supporting these record labels and your local bars and the bands, of course. Thank you so much for connecting. Let's see. Oh my God. Thank you guys. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Manne, Rene, KP. And yeah, thank you guys. So long.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Punk rock don't stop.
Cool.